You're here again? Stay quiet. Let me pick this lock first, like in the olden times. No hacking. There it is. We've been off the grid for a while, imprisoned by Epsilon forces. Ishan and Raghav here with Epsilon protocol updates. This time, I worked mostly to give the game its visual identity, while Raghav overhauled the UI and noise detection system. The characters and weapons also had a photo shoot in the game, to use as icons and portraits. Our Steam page is now live. Please wishlist the game, it will help us out and notify you when the game is released. Raghav will tell you later about the ladder climb animation issue that we ran into. As a quick workaround, we converted them into teleporters. Who uses ladders in the future? I created a Niagara effect for the disappearing and reappearing effect. This effect samples the triangles of its parent mesh and spawns glowing cubes in a grid pattern. To add to the visual appeal, I made the cubes shrink and grow while varying the glow of the edges. Then I created a parameter in the cube material that uses dither to get a growing and dissolving effect. Let me show you why. Finally, I added code to spawn, grow and dissolve the cubes in the teleportation ability Raghav created. It is well known that art is iterative. Keeping that in mind, I revisited the shaders for some tweaks. I added distance-based scaling for the outlines to remove the white artifacts on far away outlines. Then I added a feature to add silhouette outlines using custom stencils. We are not using them right now, but it might come in handy later. There were shadow-based outlines in the shader we were not using earlier, so I enabled them and adjusted the directional light to get sharp shadows with outlines. These look damn good. A big upgrade from the soft shadows fit into the comic book style and makes the cell shader pop. I also created a shader to change the shadow color and display a pattern in them. All this doesn't seem like a lot of progress for the time, but I have also been working on something so trivial yet so magnificent. You're going to see when it's done.
Until now, I believed work on the noise detection system was complete, but it was not. If many enemies were standing together, it took a lot of time to go through wake animation and sounds for all of them, one after the other. I implemented the noise system to play wake animation for all grouped enemies together and the sound only once. This will decrease the time required for the enemy turns to end. Next in the line were interactable doors present throughout the level. I had already added a switch to open the door from one side, but we wanted all the doors to be operable from both sides. I added the coupling of two switches to every door. Instead of the door opening automatically when a unit stands on the switch, the player can now decide to open the door by pressing the F key or clicking the interaction UI that pops up. There was no sound or animation for the door in the game. I already had the sound files, I just needed to animate the door. With animation coherent with the sound, the final result looks good. As you can see, we have completely overhauled the UI. We created all the ability icons. All the button backgrounds were made in Inkscape in grayscale, as tint can be used to set their color in Unreal Engine. To create the background, I first learned how to develop halftones in Inkscape. Cakewalk. The halftones I created were way bigger than the final dimensions, as I will be using the same halftones for all the UI elements. I then proceeded to make a rectangle with a white fill and black outline. I changed its angle to get an irregular chord that pops, duplicated it, and used the copy as a mask for the halftones. Initially, only the icons were a button, so clicking anywhere outside the icon did nothing. The button was shifted from the icon to the background chord. Positioning Placement, padding, and other small details were fine-tuned. As I was already working on it, I added a size change of mouse hover and selection for all buttons. Hovering over an ability, weapon, or unit card, their scale is set to 1.1. Similarly, currently selected unit, ability, and weapon card scale is set to 1.2. Their scale resets on selecting another card. The amount of ammo in the weapon was displayed in the weapon card. I even created background for the end turn button, all the elements related to the floor view, and the tooltip box. We were having an issue with the ladders and their animation. Ishan suggested an idea. We have replaced ladder in the game with teleporters. Units, instead of climbing ladders, will be teleported to the location. I implemented it in the blueprints, while Ishan took care of the VFX and other details. The game was missing a loading screen. On searching the Unreal Marketplace, I found the async loading screen plugin. It's easy to use, has documentation and videos to explain how to set the parameters. We use the splash screen as the loading screen and the gear in a logo as the throbber and made it rotate.
Next, we will be working on tuning the game and the AI. A playable demo will be up soon on Steam, so keep your lookers peeled. Meanwhile, do us a favor, like, share and subscribe. Go away now! Are you gonna get us caught by Epsilon? It's a dangerous mission.